Exhaustion isn't a failure. It's a signal. Your body knows how to answer. Welcome to Dream Physiology. There is a certain kind of exhaustion that does not announce itself loudly, yet it settles into your body with a familiar weight. It is the exhaustion you carry, even on days when nothing dramatic has happened. The exhaustion that lingers behind your ribs, tightens your breath, or makes the world feel a little heavier than it should. It is not the kind of tiredness that sleep alone seems able to cure. It reaches deeper. It builds slowly, and most of the time, you do not notice how deeply it has settled in until the quiet of the night gives you space to feel it. Modern life exhausts the body in ways older generations never had to face, not just physically, but through a constant low hum of pressure beneath everything you do. You push forward through work, responsibilities, expectations, information, and the subtle emotional load you carry for others. Even when you are not aware of it, your body is holding all of this. Muscles stay slightly tensed. Stress hormones run longer than they should. Energy systems burn more fuel than you realize. And your mind, even when it believes you are coping, leans quietly into reserves meant for deeper emergencies. Chronic exhaustion is not simply feeling tired. It is the body signaling that it has been running at a pace that does not match what it receives in return. It is the mitochondria in your cells working harder than they can refuel. It is the adrenal system compensating again and again. It is your heart beating through emotion you did not express. It is your nervous system staying alert even in moments when nothing is wrong. And yet, each night, your body carries you into a place where this exhaustion can be healed in ways you cannot feel while awake. Sleep is not just rest. It is a biological restoration ritual that unfolds in silence. It is the place where your cells are rebuilt, where your energy systems are restored, where hormones regain their rhythm, and where the hidden fatigue you carry is lifted slowly away. This story is about how your body heals that exhaustion, the exhaustion you hide, the exhaustion you normalize. The exhaustion you learned to carry without complaint. Tonight, as you listen, you will follow the gentle processes that rebuild the strength you lose throughout the day. You will travel into the physiology of renewal. You will understand the quiet work your body performs each night to return you to yourself. You do not have to do anything. You do not have to force rest or chase sleep. Your body already knows the way back to balance. If you are still awake as this story continues, let the words settle lightly around you. Let your breath soften. Let the heaviness in your muscles become a signal that your body is preparing to heal. And if you drift into sleep before the story ends, know that your body will complete the work on its own. The healing of exhaustion does not wait for your attention. It begins the moment you surrender to rest. Now we begin. There's a quiet truth about exhaustion that many people never learn to recognize. Chronic tiredness does not begin in the moments when you feel drained. It begins long before that, in small accumulations that the body absorbs without complaint. Throughout the day, every choice, every emotion, every moment of effort leaves a trace inside your physiology. These traces are subtle, almost invisible, but together they build a weight that grows heavier over time. Your body is always shifting energy between systems. It is constantly deciding where strength is needed, where fuel should go, and which parts of you must work harder. When you move through the world carrying the emotional load of others, your body feels it. When you push yourself through tasks, even when your mind is tired, your body adapts. When you ignore small signals of stress because there is no time to rest, your body quietly compensates. It does this for days, weeks, months, and sometimes years. This compensation has a cost. It is not loud. It does not appear all at once, but it shapes the way you feel at night, when everything slows down enough for you to notice what you have been holding. One of the first systems affected by chronic exhaustion is the nervous system. During the day, your sympathetic system pushes you forward. It sharpens your attention. It prepares you to meet expectations. But when it remains active for too long, even in subtle ways, the body begins spending energy faster than it can restore it. Muscles stay slightly engaged, breath stays slightly shallow, heart rhythm stays slightly elevated. You might think you are calm, but your body remains in a state of readiness. Your adrenal system responds to this. It releases cortisol in small, steady amounts, not enough to feel anxious, but enough to keep you functioning. Cortisol is not an enemy. It is a necessary hormone that helps you meet the world. But when it stays elevated for long stretches of time, it interferes with your natural energy rhythm. It disrupts the cycle that should rise in the morning and soften at night. Chronic exhaustion often begins here, in this quiet imbalance. Inside your cells, the mitochondria, the tiny energy factories that keep your body alive, begin to work harder. They respond to every demand you place on your body and mind. When you concentrate intensely, they work. When you manage emotional weight, they work. When you push through physical tiredness, they work. Over time, they become strained. They produce less energy. They release more oxidative stress. And the body feels this as a heaviness that no amount of willpower can overcome. As the day comes to an end, this internal tiredness becomes a kind of fog. It makes the body feel heavy. It makes the mind feel dull. It slows your motivation. It affects your mood. But even then, you may not give yourself permission to rest. You push through the evening because you believe you should. You distract yourself to avoid feeling the depth of your fatigue. You ignore the quiet signals because exhaustion has become familiar. But your body does not ignore them. It waits. It waits for the moment when you finally lie down. It waits for the moment when your breath slows. It waits for the moment when your mind softens just enough to let go. Because the healing of chronic exhaustion can only begin when the body enters the first stages of sleep. Wakefulness demands too much energy for repair. The body must shift into deep rest before it can reclaim what has been lost. As night falls and you settle into bed, the nervous system begins its descent. The sympathetic system, which carried you through the day, slowly steps back. The parasympathetic system begins to rise, inviting calm, softening the edges of your breath, loosening the tension in your muscles. This shift is not immediate. It happens gently, through cycles of slowing and settling. Inside your body, hormones begin to move in new directions. Cortisol levels fall. Melatonin increases. The heart rate lowers. Blood pressure softens. The body shifts into a state where healing can begin. This moment, the transition from wakefulness to sleep, is the threshold where chronic exhaustion starts to unravel. You may think of sleep as a moment of stillness, but inside you it is a moment of extraordinary activity. The body begins preparing repair crews you will never feel. Hormones that were quiet during the day begin to rise. Energy that was spent is slowly replenished. Systems that were strained begin to loosen. It is as if the body has been waiting all day for permission to restore itself. As your brain begins to drift into the first waves of sleep, your muscles relax fully for the first time since morning. This release sends a signal to the rest of your body that safety has been restored. It is safe to rest, safe to heal, safe to let go. The exhaustion you carried, quietly, constantly, without acknowledgement, begins its journey toward renewal. The night will take it from here. In the hours ahead, your body will move through cycles designed specifically to repair what the day has taken. You do not need to force it. You do not need to direct it. You need only to rest. The healing has already begun. There is a moment each night when the body enters a kind of silence that is different from anything you feel while awake. It is not the silence of a quiet room or the stillness of lying in bed. It is an internal silence, a gentle softening of everything that has been working throughout the day. It marks the beginning of a deep shift, a shift that allows the body to move away from effort and toward repair. You may not notice this moment. It passes without sensation, without sound, without any external sign. If you are awake for it, you might simply feel yourself drifting or losing track of time. If you are already asleep, you pass through it unknowingly. But this moment is the threshold between the tired body you brought into bed and the healing body you will become overnight. As your breath begins to slow during early sleep, your heart follows its rhythm. The heart rate lowers naturally, becoming steady and soft. This reduction in effort is not just relaxation. It signals a deeper physiological readiness, a shift in the autonomic nervous system. The parasympathetic branch, the part responsible for rest and restoration, gains strength here. It spreads through your body like a quiet wave, sending calming signals to organs that have been working with intensity throughout the day. Your digestive system slows. The muscles of your stomach and intestines relax. Energy that was once used for processing food is freed and moved toward essential restoration. Even if you ate hours earlier, your body has been carrying the lingering work of digestion. Now that work recedes into the background, and the body takes its first steps toward healing exhaustion. Inside your chest, the lungs respond to this shift as well. The small muscles between your ribs release tension. As your breath deepens, oxygen moves more efficiently into the bloodstream. This oxygen becomes the first resource used by your exhausted cells. They receive it gratefully, like a dry sponge receiving water. Many people do not realize how much oxygen levels influence fatigue. When the body is under stress, breathing becomes slightly shallow. Even this mild change forces cells to work harder for less fuel. At night, when breathing slows and deepens, cells finally receive the oxygen they have been missing. As the early stages of sleep deepen, the brain sends signals to the endocrine system, the network of glands responsible for hormones. These signals turn down the production of cortisol, the hormone that kept you alert all day. Chronic exhaustion disrupts cortisol rhythms, but sleep is the one time your body can reset them. As cortisol falls during the night, the adrenal glands pause their constant output. This pause is vital. It allows them to recover. If you wake too often or fall asleep too late, this recovery becomes incomplete. But when you enter continuous sleep, even early sleep, the adrenals begin their gentle reset. At the same time, melatonin rises. This hormone does more than induce sleep. It acts as a regulator, synchronizing many restoration processes inside the body. Melatonin supports the mitochondria inside your cells, the tiny structures responsible for energy production. When melatonin rises, mitochondria begin repairing themselves. They fix the damage caused by daytime metabolic stress, reduce oxidative strain, and restore their ability to generate clean, efficient energy. This is one of the most important steps in healing chronic exhaustion. You cannot feel your mitochondria repair themselves. You cannot sense oxidative stress being removed. You cannot hear the quiet recalibration inside each cell. But this is the very moment when your energy is being rebuilt from the inside. As you sink deeper into the first stage of non-REM sleep, neural activity begins to shift. Your brain does not turn off. Instead, it changes patterns. The rapid firing of neurons that kept you thinking, planning, worrying, and deciding all day begins to slow. This slowing sends ripples through the nervous system. Muscles relax further. Sensory processing softens. The body moves slightly toward stillness. All of this frees additional resources that can now be redirected toward healing. In this early stage, many people feel the first heaviness in their limbs. This heaviness is not fatigue. It is the body removing unnecessary muscle tension and redistributing energy toward deeper systems. When tension unwinds from muscles, blood flow improves. Fresh oxygen reaches tissue that spent the day working quietly, supporting posture, movement, and emotional load. Muscles begin releasing stored metabolic byproducts. They soften in ways impossible when you are awake and holding yourself up against the world. Slowly, deeper sleep waves begin to appear in the brain. These waves are larger and more synchronized than the waves of wakefulness. They reflect a state of neural quiet that allows the body to invest energy in tissue recovery, immune support, and cellular repair. This stage is the entrance to the place where exhaustion can be undone. Without these first early steps of sleep, deeper healing cannot occur. The body cannot rebuild what the day has worn down. It cannot balance hormones. It cannot repair energy systems. It cannot cleanse cellular waste. It cannot restore emotional regulation. Every process depends on this slowing, this softening, this shift into internal silence. As deep sleep approaches, the activity inside the brain becomes even more coordinated. Neurons fire in slow, rhythmic pulses. These pulses act like a guiding force for the body. They influence blood flow, metabolic recycling, and the distribution of nutrients. The brain's electrical rhythm becomes a signal to the rest of your physiology that the real work is about to begin. If you were awake during this transition, you might feel a sensation of drifting downward or sinking into the bed. You might feel moments of dreamlike imagery flickering at the edge of awareness. These sensations reflect the brain releasing its grip on external reality. It turns inward, preparing to direct energy toward repair rather than perception. Chronic exhaustion affects more than the body's physical systems. It affects your emotional world as well. When you are exhausted, small problems feel larger. Tasks that once felt simple become heavy. Decisions take longer. Emotional resilience weakens. You may become more sensitive, more withdrawn, or more overwhelmed by things you normally handle easily. Nighttime healing must address both the physical and emotional cost of exhaustion. During early sleep, the brain's emotional centers begin to quiet. The amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear and emotional intensity, reduces its activity. This reduction is crucial because the amygdala interacts closely with your autonomic nervous system. When it is active, your body stays in a state of mild vigilance. When it softens, the nervous system receives permission to fully relax. This is one reason why people often cry more easily when they are exhausted. The emotional system is sensitive. But at night, this emotional sensitivity begins to settle. your brain begins shifting emotional memories into a place where they can be processed later, during REM sleep. This early emotional quiet creates space for the body to focus on repairing physical exhaustion. As the parasympathetic system continues to rise, digestion slows further. Blood flow is redirected from the outer layers of the body to deeper tissues. This shift supports the healing of organs that have been working quietly beneath the surface all day. The liver, which plays a major role in managing fatigue, begins breaking down chemicals accumulated during stress. It filters metabolic byproducts that contribute to feelings of heaviness and sluggishness. During sleep, the liver finally has the resources to do this efficiently. The kidneys follow the liver's lead. They adjust fluid balance, filter the blood, and remove waste products that contribute to physical fatigue. During the day, the kidneys must balance filtration with blood pressure needs. At night, with the heart beating more slowly, the kidneys shift into deeper detoxification work. The body is now preparing for one of the most important phases of healing. The early stages of sleep serve as a slow descent, guiding the body away from the demands of consciousness and toward the quiet inner landscape where exhaustion is undone. Every system has begun its transition. The nervous system is softening. The heart is slowing. Nighttime healing must address both the physical and emotional cost of exhaustion. During early sleep, the brain's emotional centers begin to quiet. The amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear and emotional intensity, reduces its activity. This reduction is crucial because the amygdala interacts closely with your autonomic nervous system. When it is active, your body stays in a state of mild vigilance. When it softens, the nervous system receives permission to fully relax. This is one reason why people often cry more easily when they are exhausted. The emotional system is sensitive. But at night, this emotional sensitivity begins to settle. Your brain begins shifting emotional memories into a place where they can be processed later, during REM sleep. This early emotional quiet creates space for the body to focus on repairing physical exhaustion. As the parasympathetic system continues to rise, digestion slows further. Blood flow is redirected from the outer layers of the body to deeper tissues. As the night moves forward, your body drifts into the deeper stages of sleep, and the quiet healing that began earlier becomes more profound. You do not feel this shift directly. There is no moment of awareness inside of it. But deep sleep begins shaping your physiology in ways that are essential for undoing chronic exhaustion. The body enters a state where effort is lifted from every major system. This lifting creates the space needed for genuine restoration. Deep sleep is not simply a continuation of early rest. It is a different world inside you, one where the brain sends out long, slow electrical waves that guide the body into renewal. These waves move through your cortex in steady rhythms, almost like soft tides rising and falling. Each wave creates an environment where your cells can repair themselves, where your tissues can rebuild strength, and where your organs can finally catch up on the work they postponed throughout the day. One of the first changes during deep sleep is the dramatic reduction of metabolic demand. While awake, your brain requires a constant stream of fuel. It burns glucose quickly, even when you are sitting quietly. But during deep sleep, fuel demand decreases. This allows the body to redirect energy toward healing instead of cognitive effort. The brain does not stop functioning. Instead, it functions with purpose, entering a mode designed entirely for repair. Inside your cells, mitochondria begin some of their most important work of the night. These small structures have been producing energy for you all day. Like workers who never stop moving, they have been converting nutrients into fuel for every movement, thought, and emotion. In deep sleep, they finally receive the conditions needed for maintenance. They remove damaged components. They generate new proteins. They rebuild their membranes. This repair process is essential because mitochondria lose efficiency when they are strained, and this inefficiency is one of the major contributors to chronic exhaustion. When mitochondria heal, your body's ability to create clean energy improves. The heaviness you feel during prolonged fatigue often comes from a mismatch between energy demand and supply. But in deep sleep, supply is restored. Your cells become more efficient. They prepare for a new day with renewed capacity. This is not something you feel immediately when you wake. Instead, it emerges gradually in how you move through the morning and how your mind feels after rest has been integrated. Another powerful process during deep sleep is the release of growth hormone. Despite its name, this hormone is not only for childhood development. In adults, it is one of the main drivers of tissue repair. Growth hormone helps rebuild muscle fibers strained during the day. It supports collagen production in your skin and joints. It strengthens bones. It improves protein synthesis inside cells. When you are chronically exhausted, your tissues need this hormonal support even more. During deep sleep, growth hormone rises sharply. Its release is tied to the timing of slow waves in the brain. As slow waves deepen, hormonal pulses increase. These pulses send signals to tissues throughout the body, instructing them to repair microscopic damage. Muscles soften and rebuild. Tendons regain elasticity. The small tears that form from repetitive strain heal. Even your heart benefits. Its muscle fibers experience repair. Its workload decreases, and its rhythm becomes more stable. If you carry emotional stress, your heart often reflects it physically. Emotional load influences heart rhythm, blood pressure, and vascular tension. During deep sleep, these metrics shift toward restoration. Blood vessels relax. Blood flow becomes more even. The heart pumps with less resistance. Energy that would normally support heightened alertness is redirected toward healing cardiovascular tissues. This is one of the ways sleep reduces long-term risk for heart issues and contributes to the feeling of relief after a good night of rest. Deep sleep also strengthens your immune system. Many people do not realize how closely fatigue is tied to immunity. When the body is exhausted, immune cells cannot respond properly. Inflammation increases, healing slows. But deep sleep triggers the release of cytokines that support immune function. These cytokines help your body identify damaged cells, repair tissue, and protect you from illness. When you sleep deeply, your immune system becomes more efficient. Inside the brain, deep sleep plays another essential role. A system called the glymphatic system becomes active. This system acts like a nighttime cleaning network, clearing waste products accumulated during the day. When you are awake, the brain cannot perform this cleaning at full strength because it requires too much energy and would interfere with normal function. But during deep sleep, as the brain's energy demand decreases, the glymphatic system expands. Cerebrospinal fluid flows through channels around neurons, washing away metabolic waste. This cleansing is not only important for long-term brain health, it is also deeply connected to exhaustion. When waste products build up, they interfere with normal neural function. This can contribute to mental fog, slowed thinking, and emotional heaviness. Deep sleep removes these byproducts and restores clarity. This is why people sometimes wake after a deep sleep feeling mentally lighter, even if they were emotionally drained the day before. As deep sleep continues, your nervous system enters one of its most restorative states. The parasympathetic branch becomes dominant in a way that is difficult to achieve during wakefulness. This branch supports digestion, heart health, cellular repair, and emotional balance. In this state, the body shifts away from vigilance. Muscles loosen, the jaw softens, the breath becomes slow and rhythmic. Even the smallest muscles in your face relax, signaling to your brain that you are safe. Safety is an essential condition for healing exhaustion. When the body feels safe, it releases stored tension. It lets go of protective responses. It allows rest to reach deeper layers of your physiology. For many people, exhaustion is tied not only to physical strain, but to emotional burden. During the day, emotional energy is spent holding yourself together. It is spent on patience, responsibility, and understanding. It is spent absorbing frustration, disappointment, or pressure. Emotional exhaustion is real, and deep sleep begins addressing it not through thought, but through physiology. The amygdala becomes less reactive. The prefrontal cortex rests. Emotional centers in the brain settle into a quiet equilibrium. This is the beginning of emotional repair. Your brain is not yet dreaming deeply. It is not yet reshaping emotional memories, but it is preparing the stage for what will happen in the REM cycles ahead. Deep sleep is the foundation. REM sleep is the reshaping. Both are essential for healing the exhaustion you carry. While deep sleep repairs the body at the cellular and hormonal level, It also performs another function that is rarely discussed. It reorganizes the way your body uses energy. Throughout the day, your energy may be spent unevenly. Some systems work harder than others. Chronic exhaustion often results from this imbalance. But during deep sleep, the body recalibrates. It redistributes energy toward places that need it most. It improves the efficiency of metabolic pathways. It resets insulin sensitivity. It restores glucose balance. All of this contributes to the feeling of renewed strength when you wake. At this stage of the night, your core body temperature drops slightly. This drop is part of the body's natural rhythm. It allows enzymatic reactions to take place more efficiently. It improves tissue healing. It reduces inflammation. Temperature regulation is one of the body's most energy-intensive tasks. By lowering temperature during deep sleep, the body conserves energy and redirects it toward recovery. The skin also benefits during this time. Blood flow to the skin increases, supporting repair of environmental damage. Collagen production rises. Hydration improves. Even if you do not see or feel these changes directly, they contribute to the sense of renewal that emerges gradually after deep sleep has done its work. In the digestive system, deep sleep allows the gut to perform repairs that wakefulness cannot support. The gut lining regenerates. Beneficial bacteria rebalance. Inflammation decreases. Many people underestimate how closely gut health is tied to fatigue. When the gut is inflamed or imbalanced, it drains energy. Deep sleep helps restore digestive efficiency and reduces the hidden load the gut carries. As deep sleep reaches its peak, a profound stillness spreads through your body. This stillness is not just physical, it is metabolic, it is emotional, it is systemic. In this stillness, the body reaches its most restorative state. The waves of neural activity continue to rise and fall, guiding the processes of renewal. Even though you do not feel any of this happening, your body experiences one of the most effective healing states it can enter. Fatigue that has built up over days, weeks, or months begins to loosen. Cells that have struggled under stress begin to recover. Hormones that have been imbalanced begin to stabilize. Systems that were strained begin to regain their rhythm. Deep sleep is your body's natural remedy for exhaustion. It is built into your biology. It has been with you since childhood. It will remain with you for the rest of your life. And as this stage comes to a close, your body prepares for the next phase, a phase where emotional repair becomes as important as physical restoration, a phase where dreams become the tools the brain uses to process experiences you cannot sort through while awake. A phase where the deepest layers of exhaustion, the ones tied to emotion and memory, can begin to heal. Slowly, your brain begins shifting. The slow waves soften, the rhythm changes, the next stage of the night approaches, and the healing of exhaustion continues. As the night deepens, your body begins to shift out of the heavy stillness of deep sleep and into a new rhythm, one that feels lighter, more fluid, and more connected to your inner world. This stage marks the beginning of REM sleep, the phase where your eyes move rapidly beneath closed lids and your brain becomes active in a different way. While deep sleep focused on rebuilding your physical energy and repairing your tissues, REM sleep focuses on healing something just as important. It heals the emotional weight that contributes to chronic exhaustion. During REM sleep, your brain becomes illuminated with activity. This activity is not the same as wakefulness. Wakefulness is sharp, deliberate, and often tied to stress or responsibility. REM activity is softer, more symbolic, more fluid. It is the activity of an inner world where the brain processes emotion without the pressure of conscious thought. Dreams arise here, not as random images, but as the brain's way of understanding, sorting, and dissolving emotional tension. Emotional exhaustion is rarely caused by one singular event. It is built from many moments that accumulate in quiet ways. The moments where you held back a reaction, the moments where you swallowed disappointment, the moments where you carried the burden of someone else's needs, the moments where you continued forward even when you felt drained. Over time, these moments create an emotional load that weighs as heavily as physical fatigue. REM sleep is the body's way of lifting that weight. One of the first changes inside the brain during REM is the activation of the limbic system. This system governs emotion, memory, and intensity of experience. The amygdala, which becomes active during fear or stress, lights up. But unlike during the day, the prefrontal cortex remains quiet. This is important. The prefrontal cortex controls logic, planning, judgment, and self-restraint. When it is quiet, emotions can move more freely. They can surface without being suppressed. They can be reshaped without interference. This is why dreams often feel strange or fluid. Without the structure of waking logic, emotions can shift into images, stories, and symbols. A simple feeling can become a moving landscape. A memory can appear as a symbolic scene. An inner conflict can unfold in ways that do not make sense, but still bring relief. The purpose is not clarity. The purpose is release. Your body does not need you to interpret dreams. It does not require conscious understanding. The healing happens in the act itself, in the way the brain reorganizes emotion without the pressure of waking thought. During this time, stress chemistry decreases. Noradrenaline, the chemical tied to alertness and fear, drops to some of its lowest levels. This decrease allows the emotional centers of the brain to process memories without triggering fear responses. This is one of the reasons dreams can revisit difficult experiences in softened forms. The emotional intensity is reduced. The brain is rehearsing how to feel these memories without becoming overwhelmed. For people who are chronically exhausted, emotional processing is often incomplete during the day. You move too quickly, shift too often between tasks, and rarely have the space to feel fully. You may push yourself forward before emotional repair has time to occur. REM sleep provides the missing space. It fills in what waking life cannot. One of the most powerful aspects of REM sleep is its ability to integrate memory. The brain takes fragments of experience from the day and weaves them into a larger emotional map. It associates feelings with meaning. It separates emotional charge from factual memory. It shifts experiences that were held tightly into forms that can be released. This integration reduces the emotional load on the body. When emotional load decreases, physical exhaustion decreases as well. This is the hidden connection between emotion and energy. Your body carries what your mind does not process. Your cells respond to the emotion you hold. Your muscles reflect your inner state. Healing exhaustion requires addressing both sides. Physical repair through deep sleep. Emotional repair through REM sleep. Another important process during REM sleep is the recalibration of the autonomic nervous system. The sympathetic and parasympathetic branches find a new balance here. Throughout the day, the sympathetic branch may dominate, driving you forward, keeping you alert, helping you manage pressure. Emotional exhaustion often reflects an overactivation of this branch. REM sleep softens its influence. It helps the body restore equilibrium. During REM, heart rate becomes more variable. Breathing becomes irregular. These changes are not signs of distress. They reflect the brain's internal emotional work. Variability is healthy. It shows flexibility. It shows resilience. It shows the ability to respond to emotion without becoming overwhelmed. Over time, increased variability strengthens the heart's connection to emotional regulation. It supports your ability to handle stress without draining energy reserves. Inside the muscles, REM sleep creates a unique state called muscle atonia. During this state, the body becomes almost entirely still. The brain temporarily inhibits motor activity to prevent acting out dreams. This stillness is important. Muscles that carried tension throughout the day finally experience complete release. Chronic exhaustion often includes a layer of muscular fatigue that you cannot consciously relax. REM sleep releases it for you. In the gut, emotional repair continues. The enteric nervous system, often called the second brain, becomes calmer during REM. It processes residual signals tied to emotion, prepares for the next day of digestion, and rebalances enzymes that support nutrient absorption. For people with exhaustion, gut imbalance is common. REM sleep helps correct this imbalance in small but meaningful ways. Hormones continue adjusting as well. Cortisol remains low. Melatonin stays elevated. Serotonin pathways begin receiving signals that will influence mood the following day. Emotional exhaustion is often tied to disrupted serotonin cycles. REM sleep helps re-establish natural flow. This is why people sometimes cry easily after nights of fragmented sleep. The emotional system has not completed its recalibration. Your brain also uses REM to update internal models of the world. These models shape how you understand relationships, responsibilities, fears, and hopes. They guide your emotional responses. When you are exhausted, these models become rigid, but during REM, they soften. They reshape in ways that make it easier to adapt. They become more flexible. This flexibility is one of the most important protections against chronic exhaustion. When your internal world becomes more adaptive, the outer world becomes less draining. At the cellular level, REM supports the repair of neural membranes, balances neurotransmitter receptors, and rebuilds synaptic connections that frayed under stress. Emotional exhaustion affects the brain through subtle changes in connectivity. REM sleep restores these connections. It returns the brain to a stable baseline. But perhaps the most important aspect of REM sleep is the way it restores emotional resilience. Emotional resilience is not the ability to avoid pain. It is the ability to experience life without becoming overwhelmed. When resilience is strong, exhaustion is less likely to take hold. When resilience is weakened, even small stresses drain energy. REM sleep nurtures this resilience by allowing you to process emotion without conscious effort. You may notice that after a night of full sleep, something feels lighter. You might not know why. You may not remember your dreams. But your body knows. Your brain knows. It has completed a cycle of emotional repair that cannot be achieved in waking life. As the REM cycle nears its end, the brain prepares to transition again. The emotional centers begin to quiet. The prefrontal cortex begins to rise gently. This transition is subtle. There is no sudden shift. Instead, it is a smooth blending of emotional and cognitive activity. The brain prepares to re-enter deeper stages of sleep, or, depending on where you are in the night, to rise toward wakefulness. The work is not finished. The night is long. Healing exhaustion requires multiple cycles. Each cycle brings deeper repair. The first REM cycle addresses the emotions closest to the surface. Later cycles reach deeper layers. They unravel emotions tied to identity, hope, disappointment, and meaning. For now, as you drift through the quiet between cycles, your body continues its restoration. The heart is steady. The breath is slow. Muscles are softened. Hormones flow naturally. Cells repair quietly. Emotional weight is slowly dissolving. The night continues its work. The exhaustion you carry is being undone, and new strength is beginning to form. There is a point in the night when time seems to disappear. You may be far from consciousness, drifting through layers of sleep with no awareness of where you are. Yet within your body, this is one of the most powerful and restorative segments of the entire night. These deeper hours, often occurring after the first cycle of REM sleep, mark a return to slow wave sleep that is even more focused than before. It is here, in this quiet darkness, that your body begins rebuilding the strength lost to chronic exhaustion. The night moves in cycles. Each cycle includes periods of deep sleep and dreaming. In the first half of the night, deep sleep dominates. In the second half, REM sleep lengthens. But the segments of deeper non-REM sleep that appear again after early dreaming carry a unique purpose. They reinforce healing that was started earlier. They gather the repairs that have begun and strengthen them. These hours serve as the foundation for resilience, allowing the body to anchor the changes needed to restore energy. During this time, slow waves become powerful again, sweeping across the cortex. These waves act as signals that coordinate repair across systems. They reduce metabolic activity in certain regions of the brain, allowing the body to conserve energy for deeper restoration. They improve communication between brain cells, helping networks function more efficiently. This efficiency is vital for anyone experiencing chronic exhaustion, because exhaustion often comes from inefficiency in the way your body and mind use energy. Inside the brain, the glymphatic system continues its work. Earlier in the night, it began clearing waste products accumulated during the day. Now, with metabolism slowed even further, the cleaning becomes more thorough. Cerebrospinal fluid flows through channels between brain cells, flushing out molecules that interfere with clarity and cognitive performance. Some of these molecules are byproducts of stress. Others come from intense emotional processing during the day. Many are simply metabolic waste that naturally builds up in an active brain. When these byproducts are removed, neural pathways communicate more easily. Signals move with less resistance. This reduction in resistance translates into better cognitive function the next day. It also contributes to emotional clarity. When the brain is weighed down by waste products, emotions become heavier. They take more effort to process. The body feels this heaviness as fatigue, even when the source seems invisible. Meanwhile, the endocrine system continues its delicate balancing act. Cortisol remains at its lowest. This is one of the few times in a 24-hour cycle when the adrenal glands can truly rest. For people living with chronic exhaustion, the adrenal glands often operate at a constant hum. They respond to stress, deadlines, and emotional strain. They adjust blood pressure. They regulate metabolism. When they work without pause, exhaustion deepens. These deep hours of the night are the adrenal system's chance to recover. Growth hormone pulses again during this stage. These pulses are not random. They are tied to the peaks of slow wave activity. When a pulse is released, tissues across the body respond. Muscle fibers repair damage from daily use. Tendons regain stability. Cartilage regenerates slowly. the small micro tears inside muscles that are caused simply by standing, walking, or holding the body upright begin to heal. Even the muscles of the face, which tighten subtly during stress, soften and rebuild. Inside the cells, proteins are synthesized in large quantities. These proteins form the building blocks of new tissue. They help maintain structural integrity. They assist in immune function. They support hormone production. When protein synthesis increases, the body's ability to handle stress the next day improves. Without adequate sleep, this synthesis declines sharply. This is one of the reasons people feel weaker, more reactive, or more drained after a night of poor sleep. During these deep hours, the immune system becomes even more active. Certain immune cells, such as natural killer cells, increase their activity. These cells play a critical role in identifying and repairing damaged tissue. They also protect against illnesses that become more likely when the body is exhausted. People who are chronically fatigued often experience more frequent infections. Deep nighttime immunity helps counteract this vulnerability. Inflammation also decreases during this phase. Chronic exhaustion creates a subtle form of inflammation in the body. This inflammation is not dramatic. It does not cause fever or noticeable pain. Instead, it causes a diffuse sense of heaviness and reduced vitality. During deep sleep, inflammation markers fall. The body regulates cytokines, the small proteins that control inflammation. This decrease is essential because chronic inflammation drains energy. When inflammation decreases, the body's energy becomes available again for healing. In the liver, detoxification enters a more efficient phase. The liver processes the chemicals and hormones used throughout the day. Stress hormones, emotional residues, metabolic waste, and environmental toxins all pass through the liver for breakdown. During deep sleep, blood flow to the liver increases. Enzymatic activity rises. The body becomes more efficient at removing substances that contribute to fatigue. When these substances accumulate, the body feels heavy. When they are removed, the body feels lighter. At the same time, the gut continues its repair work. The intestinal lining regenerates. The balance of beneficial bacteria stabilizes. The gut is often called the second brain because of its influence on emotion, energy, and mood. When the gut is imbalanced, exhaustion worsens. When the gut heals, energy returns more easily. Deep sleep supports gut healing in ways that cannot occur during wakefulness. The cardiovascular system benefits as well. Blood pressure reaches its lowest point. The heart receives a break from constant work. The vessels relax. Small damages to vessel walls begin to heal. This healing not only restores strength, but improves the body's ability to manage emotional stress the next day. The heart and emotions are deeply connected. When the heart enters these restorative states, emotional resilience increases. This resilience contributes to less exhaustion during the day. As the body continues repairing tissue, balancing hormones, and strengthening systems, the mind begins to find its own form of stability. Emotional exhaustion is not only about the weight of emotion, but also about the lack of emotional space. When the day has too many demands, there is little room for reflection or calm. In the deep hours of sleep, emotional systems reorganize in ways that foster stability. The amygdala remains calm. Emotional memory pathways rest. The brain is not processing emotion during dreams at this time. Instead, it is preparing emotional circuits for the next REM cycles. This preparation involves reducing noise in the emotional system. During wakefulness, emotional signals often overlap. You may feel disappointment mixed with stress. You may feel sadness mixed with pressure. You may feel hope mixed with fear. These overlapping signals create internal noise. During deep sleep, this noise decreases. Emotional circuits sharpen. Feelings become more distinguishable. This sharpening contributes to the clarity people sometimes feel after a full night of rest. Even consciousness takes a new shape during these late deep sleep cycles. It sinks deeper into stillness. The mind does not register external sound in the same way. Muscle tone decreases even further. The body enters a state of profound quiet. This quiet is not just physical, but psychological. It is a pause from internal dialogue. It is a pause from expectations. It is a pause from the constant movement of attention. Chronic exhaustion often forms when this pause never arrives. When the body receives it, healing accelerates. This stage of sleep also strengthens your body's ability to respond to stress the next day. Stress resilience is partly determined by how well the body recovers at night. The deeper and more consistent your sleep cycles are, the more resilient you become. Without adequate deep sleep, stress responses intensify. The nervous system becomes more reactive. Breath becomes shallower. Muscles tighten more easily. But with deep sleep, these patterns ease. During these late hours, the balance between the nervous system's sympathetic and parasympathetic branches becomes refined. The parasympathetic branch strengthens its influence. In doing so, it prepares your body for a morning where you can face challenges with steadiness rather than depletion. This stability contributes to emotional health as well. When the parasympathetic system is strong, emotions feel less overwhelming. Decisions feel less pressured. Small difficulties feel less significant. In the quiet darkness of these hours, the body completes cycles of repair that go unnoticed. No conscious effort is needed. No awareness is required. Sleep is not passive. It is not a withdrawal from life. It is an active, intentional restoration programmed into your biology. It is one of the most powerful healing processes you possess. As the final minutes of this deep sleep segment unfold, a gentle shift begins. The brain prepares once again for REM sleep. The emotional system stirs softly. Dreams approach from beneath consciousness. The body does not wake. Instead, it transitions seamlessly into another cycle where emotional repair deepens. Chronic exhaustion is shaped by both physical and emotional strain. Both must be healed. The night knows this. The body knows this. Each cycle of sleep contributes to the full picture of restoration. And as you move gently into the next dreaming state, the healing of exhaustion continues in new forms. The next part of your night will not only stabilize emotion, but help reshape the patterns that led you to exhaustion in the first place. After the body finishes its deep cellular work in the silent hours of the night, the brain begins to rise again toward another cycle of REM sleep. This second REM cycle differs from the first in a profound way. Earlier dreams often touch the surface of emotion. They soften the tension carried from the day. But the second REM cycle goes deeper. It reaches into emotional layers that are older, quieter, and more complex. It tends to the emotional roots of exhaustion. Chronic exhaustion is rarely caused by physical strain alone. It is shaped by the emotions you hold inside you, emotions you postpone, emotions you carry for others, emotions you do not have time or space to feel fully. These emotional remnants sit beneath the surface of your days, influencing your energy, your clarity, and your sense of balance. When these emotions accumulate, they drain the body even when the mind remains unaware. This second REM cycle is the brain's way of rebalancing these deeper layers. As this stage begins, neural activity becomes more synchronized. The brain lights up in patterns that differ from both wakefulness and early dreaming. The prefrontal cortex, associated with judgment and rational thought, remains quiet. Without its influence, emotional circuits can move freely. The amygdala becomes active again, but this time its activation is part of a cleansing process rather than a stress response. It releases emotional signals that the brain sorts through symbolically. The hippocampus, the area responsible for memory, plays a central role. It reviews emotional memories that have not yet been integrated, memories that carry unfinished meaning, memories tied to worry, disappointment, anger, longing, or unspoken fear. These memories rise into the dream state not to torment you, but to be reshaped. In REM sleep, memories lose their sharpness. They lose their emotional edge. They become softened versions of themselves. This softening is essential. It reduces the emotional load you carry into the next day. Many people with chronic exhaustion report feeling emotionally sensitive. They become easily overwhelmed. They struggle to handle even small disruptions. This sensitivity is not a weakness. It is a sign that emotional processing is incomplete. Emotional memories that remain active demand energy. REM sleep begins removing that demand by separating the emotional charge from the memory itself. The memory remains. The pain does not. Inside the brain, neurotransmitters shift again. Noradrenaline remains low, allowing emotions to be explored without triggering fear responses. Dopamine increases, supporting emotional regulation and motivation. Serotonin pathways shift to prepare the brain for mood stability when you wake. These chemical changes give the second REM cycle its unique quality. Dreams may feel vivid or symbolic. They may feel emotional but not frightening. They may feel meaningful even if you do not consciously remember them. As dreams unfold, the brain is performing countless emotional adjustments. It identifies patterns of worry that drain energy. It loosens them. It examines emotional habits that developed under stress. It softens them. It reviews fears that may not be realistic or helpful. It reduces their influence. This emotional rebalancing is subtle, but it shapes how you feel when you wake. It determines whether you rise with a sense of heaviness or a sense of openness. During this stage, the autonomic nervous system continues to recalibrate. The sympathetic system, responsible for stress responses, becomes quieter. The parasympathetic system strengthens. The vagus nerve, which regulates heart rhythm and emotional regulation, becomes more coherent. Heart rate variability increases. Breathing becomes more flexible. These changes are signs of emotional resilience. They reflect the body's ability to adapt, recover, and remain balanced even when facing stress. The heart plays a more active role in emotional rebalancing than most people realize. During REM sleep, the heart responds to dream content. It speeds up during emotional moments. It slows during calming scenes. But these fluctuations are healthy. They allow the heart to practice emotional regulation. Over time, this practice strengthens the connection between the heart and the emotional centers of the brain. This connection is one of the reasons sleep improves emotional stability. In the body, muscle tone remains low. Even when dreams are intense, the body stays still. This stillness signals to the nervous system that emotional exploration is safe. When the body is still and unthreatened, emotional memories can be processed without activating survival responses. This safety is essential for healing emotional exhaustion. Without safety, the body cannot release emotional tension. It holds on. It protects itself. REM sleep creates a temporary environment where protection is not needed. Another important change during this stage is the reorganization of internal models of the self. The brain maintains these models to help you navigate the world. They include your sense of identity, your expectations, your beliefs about the future, and your emotional patterns. During the second REM cycle, these models become flexible. The brain adjusts them based on emotional experience. It updates them to be more supportive, more realistic, and less straining. For example, if you tend to take responsibility for others' emotions, REM sleep may soften this pattern. If you carry guilt or self-criticism, REM sleep may reduce its weight. If you have an unspoken fear of disappointing others, REM sleep may reshape its influence. These changes do not occur at the level of conscious thought. They occur deep in the emotional architecture of the brain. They make life feel less heavy without you knowing exactly why. As this emotional rebalancing continues, the body remains in a state of physiological openness. Blood flow to certain regions increases. Temperature regulation shifts. Hormones adjust. The body and mind work together naturally in ways that do not require your effort. This partnership is one of the most beautiful aspects of sleep. It is a reminder that healing is not something you must force. It is something your body knows how to do. In dreams, unresolved emotions take shapes that allow them to be released. A symbol may represent a conflict. A landscape may represent a feeling. A person in a dream may represent a part of yourself. None of this needs interpretation. The brain chooses symbols based on neural connections. It uses images to express emotion. Dreams are the emotional language of the sleeping mind. This second REM cycle is particularly important for people who carry long-term exhaustion. Emotional exhaustion builds slowly. It does not always come from dramatic events. Sometimes it comes from daily effort. Sometimes from maintaining calm when you feel overwhelmed. Sometimes from needing to be strong for too long. Sometimes from giving more than you receive. This REM cycle reaches these deeper layers. It repairs the emotional cost of resilience. Another powerful aspect of this phase is the integration of hope. Hope is not simply an emotion, it is a neurological state. It arises when the brain feels safe enough to envision possibility. Chronic exhaustion reduces hope. It drains the mind's ability to imagine solutions. REM sleep restores this. During dreams, the brain rehearses scenarios where challenges are handled effectively. These rehearsals strengthen circuits tied to resilience and optimism. When you wake, you may feel slightly more capable, even without understanding why. Meanwhile, the immune system continues to work quietly. Emotional stress weakens immunity. Emotional healing strengthens it. During REM sleep, inflammation decreases further. Immune cells communicate more efficiently. The body becomes better prepared for the next day. This connection between emotional balance and physical health is one of the most important insights in physiology. The body and mind are not separate. They influence each other constantly. As the REM cycle deepens, neurotransmitters fluctuate. Acetylcholine increases. GABA changes. Glutamate shifts. These chemical movements allow synapses to reorganize. Synapses are the connections between neurons. They are essential for thought, emotion, memory, and energy regulation. During REM sleep, these synapses are reshaped. Some are strengthened, some are weakened. This reshaping creates a more efficient brain, a more emotionally balanced brain, a brain that uses less energy to manage emotion. At the same time, the brain enhances the connection between memory and meaning. Emotional memories that were once sharp become softer. Memories that were once draining become less so. The meaning of certain experiences shifts. The emotional significance of other experiences changes. Through this process, the burden you carried into sleep becomes lighter. You may not remember the dreams that guide this healing. Most people do not. But remembering dreams is not required. The healing happens within the brain's architecture. It happens within the chemistry of emotion. It happens within the reshaping of neural networks. Dreams are simply the expression of these processes. As this REM cycle nears its end, the brain begins transitioning again. The emotional system quiets. The prefrontal cortex begins rising slowly. Cognitive structure returns. Emotional weight decreases. The body remains still. The heart stabilizes. Breath becomes calm again. You are not waking. You are preparing for the next cycle. Another opportunity for restoration. Another chance to lift the weight of exhaustion. This cycle of emotional rebalancing is crucial for long-term well-being. Without it, exhaustion deepens. With it, resilience grows. Emotional clarity increases. Life feels more manageable. The world feels less heavy. As your brain drifts out of this dreaming phase and into the quiet space that follows, the night continues its healing. There is more work to do. The deepest layers of exhaustion, the ones tied to meaning and identity, will be addressed in the cycles still to come, and the night will hold you through all of it. There is a part of the night when healing moves beyond the body, beyond physical repair, beyond the soothing of surface emotions. It reaches into a quieter and more private place within you. A place where your sense of self lives, a place where meaning is held, a place where the exhaustion of simply existing can settle, deepen, and eventually renew itself. This stage of night does not have a single physiological name. It is built through the layered combination of deep sleep, REM cycles, neural recalibration, and emotional integration. Yet together, these states begin to heal something that daily life touches constantly: your identity. Chronic exhaustion does not only drain your muscles or your energy, it drains your sense of self. It weakens the inner structure that helps you understand who you are, what you want, and where you are going. It makes decisions feel heavier. It blurs the sense of purpose that once felt clear. It reduces motivation, not because you lack discipline, but because the emotional and neurological systems that support identity become overwhelmed. The night begins healing this in ways that waking life cannot. As you enter another deep period of sleep, waves of slow, rhythmic activity return. These waves are different from the earlier hours of the night. They are deeper, more refined, more synchronized. They have already cleansed the body. They have already strengthened tissues and organ systems. Now they act as guides for the reshaping of your internal world. Inside the brain, networks associated with self-perception begin recalibrating. Some of these networks live in the medial prefrontal cortex, others in the posterior cingulate cortex, others in the temporal lobes. During the day, these regions hold your sense of identity. They evaluate choices. They reflect on your life. They compare you with others. They interpret emotion. They make meaning out of experience. When life becomes overwhelming, these networks become strained. They overwork. They lose efficiency. Exhaustion emerges not only in the body, but in the self. During this late stage of deep sleep, these identity-related networks begin to quiet. They enter a restorative mode. The brain temporarily releases your sense of self, allowing the networks that support it to rest. Without constant evaluation, without comparison, without reflection, the brain can rebuild the neural connections that support self-understanding. It reinforces pathways that help you feel grounded. It removes noise from networks that have been overwhelmed. This reduction in neural noise is essential. It creates space. It allows clarity to form. It supports the feeling of steadiness you may notice after a good night of rest, when your mind feels clearer, even before you fully wake. In this deep state, your nervous system also continues its restoration. The sympathetic branch remains quiet. The parasympathetic branch maintains dominance. But now, rather than simply lowering heart rate and calming the body, it begins supporting emotional stabilization. This stabilization is a physical process. It involves shifting the way your heart responds to subtle emotional cues. It influences breath rhythm. It improves the body's ability to return to calm after stress. These changes strengthen the stability of your identity. At the same time, your endocrine system supports this identity repair. Hormonal patterns stabilize. Melatonin remains elevated. Growth hormone continues its pulses. Cortisol stays low, but prepares for its natural rise. The body is not simply resting. It is preparing for the emotional and cognitive challenges you will face tomorrow. Identity stability is part of that preparation. Deep in your cells, mitochondria continue generating new proteins. Energy production efficiency increases. This does not simply help you feel less tired. It supports the brain's ability to maintain a stable sense of self. Identity requires energy. Reflection requires energy. Decision-making requires energy. When energy is low, identity becomes unstable. Sleep rebuilds the foundation necessary for emotional and cognitive grounding. This stage of the night also influences the default mode network, which becomes active during introspection and mind wandering. In waking life, this network can contribute to overthinking or self-criticism. But during this quiet sleep, the default mode network becomes reorganized. Its connections are refined. Its patterns become smoother. This refinement reduces the intensity of self-related rumination. It supports a gentler, more balanced relationship with your own thoughts. This is one of the reasons people who sleep well often feel more compassionate toward themselves. Sleep softens the internal edges that become sharp during exhaustion. It reshapes your inner voice into something quieter and kinder. As you move through this stage, your emotional world undergoes subtle adjustments. The brain revisits the emotional themes processed earlier in REM. It checks the stability of these adjustments. It reinforces the emotional lessons learned during dreams. These lessons are not intellectual, they are embodied. They influence the tone of your emotions, the weight of your thoughts, and the clarity of your reactions. In this quiet darkness, the emotional load you carry about your responsibilities, your relationships, your hopes, your fears, is reorganized. The brain sorts these emotions into categories. Some emotions are softened, others are strengthened. Some are released, others are integrated more deeply into your identity. This emotional sorting is not conscious. You do not witness it, but it influences every aspect of how you experience your life. The brain also begins shaping internal narratives. Internal narratives are the stories you tell yourself about who you are. These narratives influence your confidence, your choices, and your sense of direction. When you are exhausted, these narratives often become negative or unclear. The brain takes the emotional material from the day and integrates it into these narratives. It updates them in ways that support your resilience. It smooths out cognitive distortions. It supports a balanced understanding of your life. This process is not dramatic. It does not reshape your entire personality. It simply restores clarity. It helps your sense of self become more coherent. It strengthens the emotional foundations that allow you to function with purpose. As this identity restructuring continues, your muscles remain deeply relaxed. Your breathing remains slow. Your heart beats with a gentle rhythm. The body is still in a state of physiological openness, allowing emotional changes to take root. This stillness supports neural rewiring. It creates a safe environment for internal transformation. Inside the gut, microbial activity continues. These microbes influence mood, stress response, and identity formation. They produce neurotransmitters. They regulate inflammation. Their balance is essential for emotional health. During this stage of sleep, gut activity supports emotional repair. It helps the body digest not only food, but emotional tension. Meanwhile, your immune system continues strengthening its memory. It identifies patterns of stress. It prepares your body to respond to challenges without overwhelming it. This immune regulation influences emotional resilience. A stable immune system supports a stable identity. As the night moves forward, the brain prepares to enter another REM cycle. This cycle will address deeper emotional themes tied to identity, meaning, and long-term purpose. It will reorganize the emotional architecture in ways that support your inner world. But before this next cycle begins, the body remains in this quiet depth a little longer, allowing identity networks to settle into a balanced state. This balance is essential for healing chronic exhaustion. When identity is scattered, exhaustion deepens. When identity is stable, energy flows more smoothly. When identity is restored, the world becomes less overwhelming. Even though you are not aware of it, this stage of sleep is creating the emotional foundation you will stand on when you wake. It is supporting the part of you that knows what matters, the part of you that understands your own strength, the part of you capable of facing a new day with steadiness. And as this stage reaches its close, the brain begins to rise again. Emotional circuits stir gently. The dream world approaches. Soon the next REM cycle will shape the deeper layers of your inner world. But for now, the quiet work continues. The body remains still. The night continues its rhythm, and exhaustion continues to loosen its hold on you. There is a time in the night, usually after several cycles of deep sleep and dreaming have passed, when the world outside grows quieter and the world within you becomes more open. These late-night hours hold a depth unlike any other. They are not defined by the heavy stillness of early sleep, nor by the vivid emotional landscapes of earlier REM cycles. Instead, they exist in a delicate balance where the brain and body work together to restore something more subtle, more essential, and more fragile than physical strength or emotional release. These are the hours when the brain begins repairing meaning. Meaning is one of the deepest layers of human experience. It shapes your sense of direction. It influences how you interpret challenges. It fuels motivation, resilience, and stability. When meaning becomes strained or unclear, life feels heavier. Small problems feel larger. Emotional responses become sharper. Even ordinary days can feel overwhelming. Chronic exhaustion is closely tied to this loss of meaning. When you do not feel connected to purpose, your body carries the weight of uncertainty as if it were physical stress. These late-night hours begin to heal this. During this stage, the brain enters a rhythm that blends elements of both deep sleep and REM. Neural firing patterns soften. Large, slow waves continue, but they become more flexible, allowing emotional and cognitive processing to overlap. This hybrid state supports reflection without consciousness. It allows the brain to reorganize meaning gently, without the pressure of waking evaluation. Inside the brain, the default mode network becomes active again, but in a quieter way. Earlier in the night, this network was reshaped to reduce rumination. Now it is reborn with more clarity. Connections strengthen between regions that support self-compassion, long-term perspective, moral reasoning, and internal alignment. The brain begins to integrate emotional memories, identity themes, and deep values into a cohesive narrative. Not a narrative of words, but a narrative of feeling. This is one of the reasons people often wake from full nights of sleep with a sense of renewed clarity. The brain has spent these late hours rearranging your internal world. It has placed emotional experiences into context. It has transformed uncertainty into understanding. It has softened old wounds. It has revived meaning that was buried beneath exhaustion. During this stage, the anterior cingulate cortex plays a central role. This region regulates conflict, emotional insight, and empathy. In waking life, it is often overwhelmed by stress, but during these quiet hours, it becomes calmer and more balanced. It begins to rebuild your capacity for internal harmony. It integrates conflicting emotions. It restores the ability to hold complexity without being overwhelmed. This internal harmony is essential for recovering from exhaustion. When emotional systems are in conflict, the body drains energy trying to keep balance. When harmony returns, the body can rest more fully. Energy begins to flow again. Strength begins to rebuild. The insula, another region involved in awareness and emotional connection, also becomes active. It processes internal signals from the heart, lungs, gut, and muscles. During these late-night hours, the insula evaluates the body's internal state and updates your emotional understanding of yourself. It helps restore a sense of wholeness. It reconnects your inner experiences to your sense of identity. This reconnection is vital for meaning. At the same time, the hippocampus continues its slow work, integrating memories into long-term storage. But at this hour, its task becomes more selective. Earlier in the night, the hippocampus focused on sorting events from the day. Now it begins to integrate memories that shape meaning. Moments of connection, disappointment, hope, difficulty, or growth. These memories become part of your evolving sense of self. The emotional charge from them has already been softened through earlier dreaming. Now they are woven into your inner story in ways that support resilience rather than exhaustion. As this happens, the emotional weight tied to unresolved experiences becomes lighter. The brain does not erase the memories, it simply changes the way they live inside you. A memory that once caused sadness may now feel quieter. A memory that once brought worry may now feel manageable. A memory that once confused you may now feel less significant. This emotional restructuring supports the restoration of meaning. Meanwhile, the autonomic nervous system continues its deep repair. Heart rate variability stabilizes. Breath becomes rhythmic. Blood pressure remains low and steady. These physiological markers reflect inner stability. They show that the brain and body are aligned in supporting healing. When these markers remain stable during the late night hours, emotional regulation improves the next day. Meaning becomes easier to sustain. Inside the endocrine system, hormonal signals reach a delicate equilibrium. Melatonin remains active, guiding the body through the quiet. Growth hormone pulses continue in smaller waves, supporting tissue repair. Prolactin levels rise, influencing immune function and emotional balance. Some hormones associated with stress begin their slow preparation for morning. Cortisol does not rise significantly yet, but its baseline begins adjusting so that you awake with enough energy to meet the day. This gentle adjustment is important. It prevents the morning from feeling overwhelming. It supports the feeling of clarity and renewed purpose that sleep brings. At the cellular level, repair continues. Mitochondria refine their efficiency. DNA repair mechanisms remain active. Oxidative stress decreases further. Inflammation continues to fall. The body moves into a biological state optimized for healing. This state supports emotional and cognitive stability by improving the body's ability to supply energy where it is needed most, particularly in the brain. Many people underestimate how deeply exhaustion is tied to meaning. When life feels meaningful, the brain interprets challenges differently. Stress feels more manageable. Emotion feels more balanced. Effort feels less draining. When meaning is lost or unclear, everything becomes heavier. The brain uses more energy to interpret experiences. Emotional responses become stronger. The nervous system becomes more reactive. These late-night hours help restore meaning by recalibrating the emotional tone of your internal world. They create a sense of coherence that you cannot consciously build while awake. They help you feel like yourself again. During this time, dreams may become quieter. They may take on a reflective quality. They may include places or people connected to your identity. The purpose is not to relive memories, but to integrate them. The brain explores who you are, who you have been, and who you may become, without the complexity of conscious thought. Sometimes dreams in this stage revisit old emotional themes, but they do so with gentleness. They allow you to walk through memories without being overwhelmed. This helps release emotional remnants tied to identity. It supports growth. It supports healing. As the brain restores meaning, the body also contributes. The vagus nerve continues its work in emotional regulation. Signals from the heart and gut influence neural activity. These signals shape emotional understanding. The body and mind communicate in ways that are impossible during wakefulness. This communication supports inner alignment. When inner alignment strengthens, meaning becomes more accessible. The immune system also participates. It reduces inflammation in pathways tied to mood regulation. It supports neurotransmitter activity. It helps create a biological environment that allows meaning to flourish. Emotional clarity often emerges from physical clarity. When the body is healing, the mind heals more easily. As the night deepens, the brain performs subtle refinements in internal models. These models shape your expectations, values, and sense of purpose. They influence how you interpret situations. They guide how you respond emotionally. During these late-night hours, the brain evaluates these models and updates them to support well-being. It removes outdated patterns. It strengthens adaptive pathways. It aligns your inner story with your emotional needs. This process is gentle, almost invisible, but you feel its effects when you wake. You may feel more grounded, more steady, more connected to what matters. You may feel less reactive, less overwhelmed, less uncertain. These feelings are the result of meaning being restored. As this stage reaches its peak, your body enters one of the most peaceful states of the entire night. Heart rhythm becomes quiet. Breath softens. Muscles are fully relaxed. Hormones flow smoothly. The brain moves through rich networks of emotional, cognitive, and identity repair. Exhaustion begins to release its deepest layers. Soon, the brain will prepare for the next REM cycle, where emotional refinement continues. But for now, you remain in the quiet hours where meaning repairs itself. These hours are a gift, a sanctuary, a place where the night holds you with patience and gentleness. And as you drift through them, the healing of exhaustion continues. As the night moves toward its final chapters, your brain begins preparing for the longest, most emotionally refined REM cycle of the entire night. This final cycle is unique. The earlier REM cycles worked through surface emotions, softened emotional charge, unraveled deep patterns, and began repairing the foundations of identity. But this last REM phase performs a different kind of work. It weaves everything together. It settles what remains. It organizes what has been processed, and it shapes the emotional landscape you will carry into the morning. This is the moment when the night begins transforming healing into strength. The final REM cycle often arrives several hours after midnight, when the body has already completed most of its deep sleep. At this point, the body is physically restored. Muscles have repaired micro-tears. Mitochondria have regained efficiency. Hormones have stabilized. Inflammation has decreased. The immune system has strengthened. Now the brain can place its full attention on emotional and cognitive integration. In this stage, brain activity is intense yet refined.
The electrical patterns resemble wakefulness more than sleep, but there is a crucial difference. While the brain is active, the body remains deeply still. Muscle atonia continues, preventing physical movement. This stillness allows the emotional work to unfold without interruption. It creates a safe space where the mind can explore without physical consequences. Inside the brain, regions associated with emotional processing become active once again. The amygdala lights up, but in a controlled way. Its signals are shaped by all the emotional adjustments made earlier in the night. The hippocampus retrieves emotional memories that require one final layer of integration. The prefrontal cortex begins to rise slowly, not enough to wake you, but enough to introduce structure. This blend of emotional activation and cognitive structure creates a unique environment where the mind can reshape its internal world. Dreams during this stage may feel vivid or symbolic. They may revisit themes from earlier in the night or explore new emotional territory. They may feel connected to your deeper sense of self. The content of these dreams is less important than the process behind them. The brain is completing emotional cycles. It is ensuring that the work done earlier becomes stable. It is confirming that the emotional system is in balance. One of the most important functions of the final REM cycle is emotional fine-tuning. Emotional fine-tuning is the process by which the brain calibrates emotional responses for the next day. It decides which emotional patterns to strengthen, which to weaken, and which to release entirely. This calibration influences how you feel when you wake. It shapes mood stability, clarity, resilience, and emotional flexibility. During waking life, emotions are not processed in isolation. They are influenced by context, expectation, social interaction, and internal narrative. The brain must constantly adjust emotional responses to match the situation. This constant adjustment is exhausting. When you are chronically exhausted, emotional flexibility decreases. Emotions become more reactive. Stress responses become stronger. But during the final REM cycle, the brain restores this flexibility. It resets emotional thresholds. It recalibrates emotional sensitivity. It strengthens circuits that support calm and reduces the influence of circuits that contribute to overwhelm. At the same time, the autonomic nervous system continues its recalibration. Heart rate variability increases, reflecting improved emotional regulation. Breathing patterns become more refined. The vagus nerve strengthens its influence. These changes support emotional resilience. They ensure that the body will respond to tomorrow's challenges with steadiness rather than strain. The prefrontal cortex plays a more active role in this REM cycle than in earlier ones. It does not fully engage, but it participates just enough to help the brain evaluate meaning. It brings perspective to emotional work. It asks, in an unconscious way, whether certain emotional patterns still serve you. It checks whether the emotional adjustments made earlier align with your long-term values. This integration is subtle, but it plays a powerful role in shaping identity stability. Meanwhile, the brain begins preparing for wakefulness. This preparation is gentle. It involves adjusting neurotransmitters, raising certain hormonal levels, and refining neural activity. Cortisol begins its natural rise, not as a stress response, but as part of the circadian rhythm. This rise prepares the body to wake with clarity and energy. It ensures that you do not enter the day in a fog of hormonal imbalance. For people who experience chronic exhaustion, this natural rise is essential. Without it, waking feels overwhelming. Inside the cells, energy production increases gradually. Mitochondria shift from restoration to preparation. They begin generating energy for the day ahead. This transition is smooth. It does not feel dramatic, but it determines how you will experience the first hours of the morning. When energy production aligns with emotional stability, waking feels gentle. When it does not, waking can feel jarring. During this final REM cycle, the brain also reevaluates memories that hold emotional significance. Some memories may be strengthened because they contribute to identity or purpose. Others may be weakened because they drain emotional energy. This re-evaluation influences how you interpret your life. It shapes your sense of direction. It supports meaning. The brain also refines internal predictions. Predictions determine how you anticipate the day ahead. They influence how you interpret small moments. They shape stress responses. When predictions are shaped by exhaustion, they can become overly negative or cautious. During this final REM cycle, the brain adjusts these predictions to be more balanced. It helps ensure that the day ahead feels manageable. This recalibration reduces emotional load and supports resilience. As emotional fine-tuning continues, the body remains still. Muscles stay relaxed. Breath stays slow. Heart rhythm remains steady. This stillness allows emotional adjustments to take root. It provides a stable base for integration. Within the gut, microbial activity continues supporting emotional balance. Gut bacteria produce neurotransmitters that influence mood. They regulate inflammation. They support neurocommunication. During this stage, the gut and brain communicate through hormonal and neural pathways, ensuring that emotional and physical healing remain connected. The immune system also continues its quiet work. It evaluates signs of stress. It strengthens its response to potential threats. It reduces inflammation further. This immune regulation is important for emotional well-being. When inflammation is low, emotional stability increases. When inflammation is high, emotions become more reactive.
This connection is part of the body's integrated approach to healing exhaustion. In this phase, dreams may take on a sense of closure. They may present solutions. They may offer resolution. They may revisit emotional conflicts with a sense of ease. The purpose is not to solve your problems in a literal way. The purpose is to reduce the emotional charge associated with them, to shift your internal narrative, to help you face the coming day with clarity and steadiness. As the REM cycle reaches its peak, the brain becomes fully immersed in emotional integration, but soon the cycle will soften. The brain will begin slipping into lighter stages of sleep. The body will prepare for waking. The emotional work of the night will come to a close. In these final moments of REM, the brain rehearses emotional responses for the next day. It prepares neural pathways that will support resilience. It strengthens circuits tied to calm, focus, and meaning. It weakens circuits tied to overwhelm, stress, and exhaustion. This rehearsal ensures that when you wake, you step into the world with a renewed sense of strength. Gradually, the REM cycle transitions into a lighter sleep stage. The body becomes more aware of the external world. Breathing deepens, heart rate adjusts, muscles begin to regain tone. But the emotional shifts made during this cycle remain. They influence waking consciousness. They support emotional health. They reduce exhaustion. As the night approaches its end, the brain begins preparing for the morning rise. The emotional architecture is now more stable. The self-narrative is clearer. The meaning woven through earlier cycles has settled into place. The heaviness you carried into sleep has loosened. The exhaustion that felt overwhelming now feels lighter, even if you will not notice the change immediately. The night has been your quiet companion. It has repaired body and emotion alike. It has restored physiological and psychological balance. It has prepared you to wake with renewed strength. There is one final stage left, a stage where the body prepares to return to the world, a stage where healing meets awareness, a stage where exhaustion completes its release. The morning is approaching, and with it, the release of the night's final gifts. There is a moment before waking when the night loosens its hold, but has not yet released you fully. It is a threshold, a quiet edge between deep internal stillness and the soft rise of awareness. In this fragile space, the work of the night reaches its final stage. The body has repaired itself. The emotional world has been reorganized. The meaning of your life has been gently realigned. Now the brain prepares you to step into the day with a sense of clarity, steadiness, and renewed strength. Healing chronic exhaustion does not end with dreaming. It ends here, in this transition. As your body moves out of the final REM cycle,
neural activity shifts. The brain begins reducing emotional activation and gently increasing cognitive function. The prefrontal cortex rises slowly, not too quickly, not sharply. If it rose abruptly, you would wake with a sense of shock or disorientation. Instead, the brain raises cognitive clarity in gradual waves. This protects the emotional work accomplished through the night. It ensures that the stability created during sleep is carried into the morning. This shift marks the beginning of the waking process, but it is not yet waking. It is a recalibration. The brain evaluates the state of the body. It checks hormone levels. It checks heart rhythm. It checks energy reserves. It checks emotional balance. It asks without words whether the systems are ready to enter the day. These internal evaluations shape the quality of your waking experience. When the systems are aligned, waking feels smooth. When they are not, waking can feel heavy. Sleep aligns them so that morning can unfold naturally. One of the most important processes in this stage is the gentle rise of cortisol. Cortisol is often misunderstood. It is not only a stress hormone, it is a rhythm hormone. It tells the body when to wake. It helps regulate energy. It prepares the mind for alertness. In people with chronic exhaustion, cortisol rhythms are often disrupted. They may rise too early. They may rise too late. They may not rise enough. But after a full night of restored cycles, cortisol begins its morning ascent at the right time and in the right amount. This rise increases blood sugar availability. It wakes the immune system. It activates metabolic pathways. These changes help the body shift from internal restoration to external engagement. The purpose is not to overwhelm you with energy. It is to provide a smooth transition. Melatonin begins to fall, though it does not drop sharply. It fades gradually, allowing your sense of restfulness to linger. This lingering softness is important. It allows the emotional calm built through the night to remain with you. It keeps your nervous system grounded. It protects you from starting the day with tension. During this time, the autonomic nervous system prepares for its daytime roles. The parasympathetic system, dominant through the night, begins to share control with the sympathetic system. But it does not release dominance abruptly. It lets go slowly. It guides the body toward balance rather than pressure. This gentle handoff supports emotional stability. It helps prevent the sudden rush of adrenaline that can make waking feel abrupt or overwhelming. Meanwhile, the heart adjusts its rhythm. Heart rate variability begins shifting from the patterns of sleep to the patterns needed for daytime engagement. The heart prepares to support movement, thought, interaction, and attention, but it still carries the calmness of the night. This calm becomes the foundation for your emotional tone during the day. Breathing becomes deeper. Muscles begin to regain tone. Blood vessels adjust their constriction. The body prepares to move from horizontal rest to vertical activity. These adjustments may seem simple, but they require careful coordination between the nervous system, the cardiovascular system, and the musculoskeletal system. Sleep repairs these systems so they can support you when you wake. Inside the gut, microbial activity begins shifting. The gut prepares for digestion. Hormones influencing hunger and satiety adjust. But just like the other systems, the gut transitions slowly. It recognizes that the morning should begin with calm rather than urgency. This supports emotional stability by preventing sudden spikes in blood sugar or stress hormones. In the brain, memory networks begin stabilizing. The emotional refiling carried out during the night is now complete. Memories that were once emotionally heavy now feel lighter. Memories that were once confusing now fit more comfortably into your inner story. This emotional clarity influences the first thoughts that arise as you wake. It shapes your sense of perspective. The default mode network becomes active again, but in a gentler way than during wakefulness.
It begins re-establishing your sense of self. It does not overwhelm you with self-analysis. Instead, it offers a quiet sense of awareness, a soft reminder of who you are. This awareness is shaped by the healing done during the night. It feels less sharp, less demanding, less heavy. As the morning approaches, neural activity becomes more organized. Electrical rhythms shift toward wakefulness. The brain prepares sensory systems to receive input. It increases blood flow to regions associated with attention and decision-making. It reduces activation in areas associated with dreaming. This gradual shift ensures that you do not lose the emotional benefits of sleep. One of the most crucial aspects of this final stage is the integration of purpose. Throughout the night, the brain has been recalibrating your internal narrative. It has been restoring meaning. It has been reconnecting you to your emotional framework. Now it weaves these elements into the feeling you will carry into the morning. You do not wake with a fully written understanding of your life. You wake with a gentle sense of direction, a quiet strength, a grounded awareness that can guide you through the day. This sense of direction is not dramatic, it is subtle. It lives in the space between thoughts. It influences how you interpret experiences. It shapes your emotional resilience. It helps you move through the day without being overwhelmed by the weight of exhaustion. The emotional tone of the morning is shaped by this integration. When the night has been restorative, the morning feels spacious. Breath feels easier. The mind feels clearer. Emotions feel softer. Even if the day ahead is demanding, the internal world feels more capable of meeting it. Now the brain begins completing its final checks. It reviews your state of hydration. It adjusts electrolytes. It evaluates the condition of the immune system. It ensures that inflammation remains at its reduced level. It prepares the muscles for physical activity. It stabilizes blood pressure.
These adjustments ensure that the body is ready to support your actions without draining your energy. As you drift closer to wakefulness, the line between dreaming and awareness becomes thin. You may feel sensations returning. You may feel the weight of your body. You may feel the softness of the bed. You may feel a quiet sense of presence. This is the moment when healing transitions into readiness. The brain now shifts into full wakefulness. It raises cognitive function. It increases sensory sensitivity. It reestablishes environmental awareness. The emotional architecture built through the night remains intact. The physical repairs support your strength. The meaning restored during the night infuses your consciousness with quiet purpose. The morning arrives not as a demand, but as an invitation to begin again, an invitation to carry your healed inner world into the day, an invitation to move with steadiness rather than strain, an invitation to live with the clarity restored during the night. Chronic exhaustion does not disappear in a single night, but each night of healing rebuilds your foundation. It strengthens your emotional resilience. It refines your internal world. It restores the delicate balance between body and mind. As you wake, you carry the work of the night with you. Your muscles hold the softness of deep sleep. Your heart carries the rhythm of emotional healing. Your mind carries the clarity of integrated meaning. Your body carries the quiet strength rebuilt through cellular repair. And though the day ahead may bring effort, you face it with renewed steadiness. The night has prepared you. The night has held you. The night has healed the exhaustion that once felt immovable. Now you rise with the first light, not fully healed, but healing, not entirely restored, but stronger, not free from exhaustion, but free from its weight. The night has given you enough to continue, and tonight it will give more. As this night's journey comes to a close, let your breath soften for a moment. Feel the gentle weight of your body resting where it is. Notice the quiet inside you. It is not an empty quiet. It is a quiet shaped by healing, by balance, by the slow and patient work your body has carried out through these hours of sleep. You have traveled through the deep stages where your muscles repaired, where your cells restored their energy, where your hormones found their rhythm again. You have drifted through dreams where emotion was softened, reshaped, and released. You have moved through the late-night hours where meaning returned slowly, where your sense of self loosened and settled, and where your inner narrative regained clarity. And as morning approached, your body prepared you gently for the day ahead, carrying with it the lightness that comes from true physiological rest. Chronic exhaustion does not lift all at once. It loosens gradually, cycle by cycle, night by night, as the body rebuilds what stress and strain have worn down. What matters is that you continue giving yourself the conditions to heal, that you allow your nights to become places of restoration rather than interruption, that you trust the quiet intelligence inside you to do what it knows how to do. Your body is not working against you, it is working for you. Every hour of sleep is a step toward balance. Every cycle is a layer of healing. Every breath you take tonight is part of your return to strength. As you drift toward sleep, let this final thought rest in your mind. You are not alone inside your exhaustion. Your body carries you through it. Your mind adapts. Your cells repair. Your inner world reorganizes itself in ways you may never fully see, yet you will feel their effects in the clearer moments of the day ahead. Tonight, let yourself surrender to the quiet rhythm of rest. Let the night take you gently. Let healing continue in its own time. And when you wake, carry with you the simple truth that you are stronger than you feel and more resilient than you realize. Sleep well. Your body knows the way forward.